Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan, and this channel is dedicated to skincare for skin of color. As you know, I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of color. Right, so today's video is all about bridal glowing skincare. And I just think back to when I got married and it was such a stressful time. I just remember the year before, you're already imagining what you're going to wear, how you're going to look, what your muscle mass is going to be, what your body's going to look like, what your skin's going to look like. You want to look the best you've ever looked in your life and you'll never look the same again. This is quite a stressful time, but a lot of classic mistakes take place and actually damage the skin, and that is what I want to avoid with this video, but also to tell you the best practices to ensure you're taking care of your skin for the big day. If that sounds good to you, give me a thumbs up. Let's dive right in. Okay, so here are the classic mistakes. Number one, this is a stressful time. Guess what happens when you go through stress? Your cortisol levels go up, your sebum production goes up, and you're left with a pimple. This is so classic. The number of times I hear, someone has a spot the day before their wedding. That didn't just happen unless it's your period. That's because of stress. The other thing is any inflammatory condition worsens with stress. So for example, if you're already prone to eczema, psoriasis, it's likely to flare up in times of stress. So stress is actually the worst thing for your skin around the wedding period. There's no amount of exfoliation or facials you can do to remove the damage that can happen from stress. So one thing, if I could go back and tell my younger self, it's actually my 12th anniversary this week, and I still remember just how painful the whole thing was in terms of the stress of it, and all the things that were going on, and nothing was going to plan, and I'd had all these dreams, and nothing ever works out the way you want it to work out. I wish I'd just known that before. I wish I'd known just enjoy this time and this moment, because it's not going to come back again. These little things that this wasn't there, and these little things that you worry about, no one's going to care about later, but you are going to remember how you felt. And that's probably what I would tell my daughter, is just take in every moment, enjoy every second. Whatever isn't perfect, it doesn't matter. Nothing's ever perfect. And you've got two choices. Either you enjoy it or you get stressed about it. So, either way, you can't change anything. So you may as well just enjoy it. So that's the number one piece of advice I would give. The second mistake I see being made is people starting a brand new skincare facial they've never done before and doing it, a week before the wedding. These things can include steam, which I really do not like for skin of color. I've done a whole video on why I don't like steaming for the skin, so please do watch that video. Aggressive extraction of blackheads, it can damage the skin barrier, and acid peels. Don't start with an acid peel a few weeks before your wedding. It takes about 30 to 40 days for your cell cycle to even turn over, and if any damage happens, it's not going to be it won't recover by the time of the wedding. I wouldn't go and do this, just before your wedding. And I think the other thing that happened was, I remember when I went to get this facial done, I knew she was being too aggressive with my skin, but I felt bad to ask her to stop. And I felt like you don't want to put any negative energy into the universe at the time of your wedding. But actually that was a bit of a mistake, and I just shouldn't have even gone for the facial. You think you're pampering yourself and you think you're doing what you should be doing before the wedding, but actually that's not the time to do it. You start that a year before, just to test your skin and see what works with your skin. I certainly wouldn't do that, because best case situation, you have just red sensitive skin on the day of your wedding. Worst case situation is you've burnt the skin and you can't put makeup on. And could you imagine? That's a disaster. So we can't do that. So yeah, please do avoid starting a brand new facial, a professional grade facial, a few weeks before the wedding. Third mistake is trying harsh products just before the wedding. So things like 1% retinol can lead to flaking and sensitivity. You do not want this just before your wedding, when you've got heavy makeup being put on and you're wearing makeup, if it's an Indian wedding, for 4 or 5 days in a row, 12 hours a day. You can't have that sensitive skin and then cake your face with makeup. So avoid that. The other one is glycolic acid, especially leave on product overnight, because again, that can disrupt the skin barrier, lead to skin sensitivity. And the third one is you don't want to use something that's too alkali for the skin for the first time, such as black soap, which can be quite alkaline because the skin is actually slightly acidic, and again it can disrupt the skin barrier. I actually would avoid using anything new for the first time the month before your wedding, because you don't know if you're allergic to anything or how your skin is going to react. So not just the harsh products, I really wouldn't try something brand new the month before the wedding. You do everything a year in advance. The fourth big mistake, especially if you come from a family like mine and have a big Punjabi family, is alcohol at multiple functions before your wedding day. So we don't just have one wedding. No, we have 5 or 6 different functions that happen before the wedding, and there's alcohol at every single function. And alcohol really dehydrates your skin. It makes your skin look dull. And again, there is no amount of hyaluronic acid that's going to revive that dehydrated skin. So I remember one of my best friends, she did her wedding in Goa, and she refused to drink alcohol at any of her functions. And she was probably the most glowing bride I have ever seen in my life. She was just absolutely stunning. Her voice wasn't cracking. She just looked absolutely like picture perfect, but she had that motivation. So if you don't drink alcohol, I think you're automatically light years ahead of the rest of us. So the fifth big mistake is neglecting the the skin on the body. So the neck area, this whole collarbone area, the skin ages rapidly. And so you don't want to avoid it, but also the rest of your body. I mean, a lot of you are going to be going on honeymoons and you might be wearing, bikinis. So do take care of the skin on your body too. Don't just focus on the face. I'm actually going to make you a whole skincare routine, I think, for the body, just on the back of that comment that I made. I don't believe I've done that yet for you. So let me do that for you and watch that video to focus on the body. The next one is following fads and TikTok trends or DIY trends. I've seen so many of these that damage the skin, and things like dry brushing, for example. I'm not a fan of dry brushing because you are ripping that top layer of skin away without softening the skin cells. But that's something you might see on TikTok, and so you go and do it yourself, and then you're wondering afterwards why your skin feels really sensitive. So don't just follow things on TikTok, or a fad that your friends are doing. Go and investigate if that thing is safe for your skin. I come on this channel and I'll tell you if it's safe for you or not. The big mistake that I made was not sleeping the night before. I'm terrible. Before a big event, I just can't sleep. Like, we just launched our mineral Inzincable sunscreen. We did the whole photo shoot for it about a week ago, and the night before, again, I couldn't sleep. And it was such a big shoot because these photos and videos are being used for everything. Again, I didn't sleep the night before. And what happens when you don't sleep? Your dark circles are worse. Your skin looks paler, more translucent, and not in a good way. You can look quite ill. Yeah, sleeping, it really is essential. And I just remember the day before my wedding and I didn't sleep, and I'd had far too much fun at all the other functions, and I had to sing on my wedding day and my voice cracked. Do you know how mortifying that is? I had 1,000 people at my wedding and my voice cracked on the high note. It's like, the one thing in life that you pray doesn't happen. That happened. And I'm going to just put that one down to not sleeping the night before. Okay, so those are all the mistakes out the way. The next thing is, so Dr. V, what exactly are we supposed to do with our skin? So here's the routine. When you wash your face in the morning, wash it with a micellar gel wash. The number one mistake people make is that they overstrip the skin and they use surfactants that take away too much fat from the skin and actually leave the skin feeling very dry. I don't want that. Your skin should feel supple after you've washed it. It should never feel dry or the squeaky clean is not what we're going for. Pick a micellar gel wash if you have normal to dry skin. If you have oily skin, pick a salicylic acid wash first thing in the morning. The next thing I want you to do is to moisturize using a safe moisturizer. That means no denatured alcohol, no fragrance, no essential oils. The ingredients I want you to use in your moisturizer are things like ceramides and peptides. So they're basically skin restorers and they're anti-aging. The ones I like are CeraVe. So I like CeraVe. I actually just create my own moisturizer called Cera-Pep, which is, I added niacinamide licorice root extract into it, which is good for brightening my skin. The other one I like is Proteini from Drunk Elephant. That's also in an airless pump, which is important because peptides are unstable. And the other one I like is from Be Minimalist. It's called Sepicam. I believe that's what it's called. It's an excellent moisturizer. I've done a whole video review on Be Minimalist if you're from India, and I'm doing an updated one filming it today as well. After this, you then want to put on your SPF 50. So I want broad spectrum, ideally mineral. Zinc oxide is my favorite. Zinc is anti-inflammatory. It doesn't go into your bloodstream or your urine. It's great for pigmentation as well. So Inzincable SPF 50, which is the one I created, has got MelaShield in it. MelaShield is a tyrosinase inhibitor, which helps with pigmentation during the day. So we did a clinical study on 51 candidates with skin of color, and 73% saw a reduction in their pigmentation when they switched from their current sunscreen to Inzincable. So if pigmentation is one of your issues, you might want to purchase that SPF. So I'll show you what that looks like on my hand. So this is basically Inzincable. So this is designed for skin of color, so there's no white cast. And that's the worst thing about mineral sunscreens is often, for example, like sheer zinc, which I use a lot, it does leave you with this white cast. So let me just show you what it looks like on my hand so that you basically know how easy it rubs into the skin. You always use about a quarter of a teaspoon on your whole face. That's the most important thing. So basically, this is my hand right now. So I'm hoping it's like kind of the size of my face. Basically, you want no flashback, and you want it to feel smooth on the skin so that when you put your makeup on top, it doesn't slip around. So that's Inzincable, and that should hopefully be out in July. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The other mineral sunscreen I really like is Color Science. That's SPF 50 as well, and that's tinted. So it depends on what you're looking for. This one's invisible, and I want it to be for men too. And my husband said he wouldn't wear a tinted one because he thought it looked too much like makeup. And so I thought, you know what? I want it to be universal. I want it to be on our children, on, you know, put whatever foundation you want on top, etc. So depending on what you want, but whichever one it is, just go for mineral sunscreen. A couple of things to look for in your sunscreen is to make sure it's broad spectrum, because SPF 50 only talks about the UVB rays. It has no implication on UVA rays. So you want broad spectrum, and ideally PA with 4 pluses. So you know you're getting maximum UVA protection. UVA is what leads to aging. So UVB leads to burning. It's quite easy to remember because AA and then BB. So then at night time, you want to wash your face, double cleanse. So you basically want to use an oil-based cleanser, something like DHC oil cleanser is good. And you just want to melt the sunscreen and makeup from the face and then wipe it away gently without tugging at your skin. Then you use your Micellar Gel Wash as well as a secondary wash. I would then recommend you use a hydrating toner. The mistake people make is that they go for a glycolic acid toner or a toner with denatured alcohol in it because they like that squeaky clean feeling. That's a mistake because actually leads to more oil production. So you want to go for something that gives you a high concentration of actives because you want to penetrate into the skin quickly. So a few that I like Paula's Choice Niacinamide, the Skin Balancing Toner. I like Face Theory CeraC Pore Reducing Toner. I basically make my own toner for myself, which again, I want it to be brightening. So I use niacinamide and Centella Asiatica, allantoin, panthenol, etc. So it depends on what you're looking for. Go for the toner with the ingredients in it that you want. Next thing I'd say is go for chemical exfoliation at nighttime, ideally once a week. I do prefer this over a physical scrub because you get even penetration and even removal of dead skin cells. So you have that glow versus a physical scrub, which can lead to micro tears. So it is much better for the skin barrier. The benefits of exfoliation are that number one, your skin does glow immediately. Number two, you do get better penetration of actives because you have removed that top layer of dead skin cells. And number three, your makeup does sit more evenly on the skin. It's much easier to apply your makeup and the finish does look better as well. Okay, so the ones I recommend, you can use The Ordinary, which is mandelic acid 10%, or Face Theory does one called Mandeli Bright. I literally make my own one with mandelic acid plus lactic acid because those are my two favorite AHAs. Exfoliate really is maximum twice a week. I definitely prefer once a week or maybe even once every other week. If you have oily skin, then you might want to use salicylic acid as part of your exfoliator too. With your antioxidant serum, the most important thing is number one, making sure they're in combination. So the classic ones would be things like vitamin A, C, E, ferulic acid, resveratrol. So make sure they're in combination to stabilize them. Make sure it's in an airless pump because if there's oxygen near the antioxidant, it's likely to have oxidized and not be effective. So you want it in an airless pump and ideally an opaque pump where no light can get through. But yeah, I think antioxidant serums are very important because they mop up any free radicals which can damage collagen and lead to premature aging. So I do think that's essential, really from 21 years old plus. Don't forget to moisturize with your Nafe Safe moisturizer on top. So you want to lock in the actives into the skin and create that healing environment for the skin. In terms of professional grade treatments, please don't start any professional laser or anything just before the wedding. Try and start your laser a year before before. If you are doing facials, the only one I recommend at the moment is a modified version of the hydrofacial. So not the hydrofacial the way it is, because I don't like LED light, especially on pigmented skin. If you could watch my video on how to modify a hydrofacial for skin of color, that's the one that I would recommend. And I would even recommend it maybe once every 2 months, starting a year in advance. If I could go back and do it again for myself, that's what I would do. Right, don't forget, I'm in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video. So don't forget to hit that notification bell. Please follow me on Instagram at the Hyperpigmentation Clinic and Skincare by Dr. B, and on TikTok, which is Dr. Vanita Rattan. Don't forget to download your free guide. Link is down below. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.